basically the main purpose of that was to explain that how Pakistan as a middle power got prominence at the global stage. The leadership of the Field Marshal Sid Hassan Munir, he was single-handedly his leadership, his personal aura, and the way he connected with American President Donald Trump. That was the most important thing.
The paper also talks about Pakistan becoming a regional net security stabilizer.
This army is the one that basically only army in the world that has got the capability and intention and the will.
Assalamu alaikum guys, and welcome to the show. This is Minahal Fatma, and today we are discussing a policy paper that has sparked an important conversation about Pakistan's evolving role in regional diplomacy and global politics. Oslo of the East. The paper explores how Pakistan's recent mediation efforts between the United States and Iran have positioned the country as a key diplomatic player in the Middle East. It highlights Pakistan's growing strategic relevance, its military diplomacy, and the idea of Pakistan re-emerging as a credible middle power capable of influencing regional stability. The paper also discusses Pakistan's changing geopolitical posture following its military success against India in May, the concept of a Muslim Quad, and the importance of transforming diplomatic achievements into long-term economic and strategic partnerships. To help us understand the ideas, implications, and the vision behind this thought-provoking paper, we have Executive Director of Snowbird Institute, Qamar Cheema sahab with us. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Thank you, Sami.
How are you doing?
Thank you. How about you?
I'm good. Allah ka shukr, alhamdulillah. Sir, it's the first anniversary of Bunyal al-Marsus. Any message? How are you feeling right now as a Pakistani?
Obviously, I think that's a great day, and the whole year that have been a year of Bunyal al-Marsus, and we have celebrated. The entire country has seen that how Pakistan's global profile increased, the way Pakistan showed its military might against again an adversary, which has a defense budget of $92 billion versus Pakistan's defense budget, which is less than 10 times less than India. So obviously that's a great day, and I think globally Pakistan's profile dramatically changed, knowing that Pakistan can perform so well, not just against the terrorist organizations or in the subcritical warfare, but when it comes to the conventional warfare, when it comes to fighting with the arch rival, an adversary like India. I think Pakistan's military generals, Pakistan's Air Force, Pakistan Navy, I think they outmaneuvered the Indian leadership, and I think the rest is history, and the world is writing about that yet.
So if you talk about your book, Oslo of the East, what specific diplomatic developments convince you that Pakistan has reached that important moment in the regional politics?
Well, this policy paper published by the Snowbird Institute, Oslo of the East, basically the main purpose of that was to explain that how Pakistan as a middle power got prominence at the global stage. We are a country that has is facing economic challenges, which is in the IMF program, which have seen political uncertainty a few years back. But suddenly at the global stage, we are there. So it means that we have the capability, we have the resources, we have the leadership, we have the manpower, we have the people who have the capability to move things in the right direction. So I think that was basically the motivation, that not having a strong GDP, but having friends with leverage and having a political influence, how Pakistan did it. So I think there are multiple reasons for that. Pakistan and the United States, they enjoy very good relations. We have fought a generational struggle against transnational terrorist organizations. We don't have any kind of geostrategic competition with the Iranians in the Middle East. So both parties trust us, and they believe that they are militarily strong. And both parties do believe that they have a leverage. So it's not just the era of 1970s when Pakistan was able enough to do the rapprochement between the Chinese and the Americans. This is 2026, where Pakistan was not that much close with the American leadership since last year, before last year. So immediately Pakistan got in touch at the global level with the President Trump and the rest of the leadership. And I think the rest is the history, that how Pakistan brought Americans and the Iranians, those were arch rivals, two different nations, different history, never interacted directly with each other. And the history was made here when J.D. Vance and the Iranian delegation met one-on-one directly, and that happened after 49 years. So I think that was Pakistan's goodwill, strong leadership, and I think Pakistan was an honest broker. So I think that motivated me to explain to the international audience that the peace cannot only be steered or motivated, these peace of initiatives cannot only be taken in Europe, they can be taken in East. So that's how I term Pakistan as an Oslo of the East, that we are doing the job with the Western world used to do. So as a middle power, we do have that kind of an aura and influence and leverage with our friends and neighbors that we can make things like this.
You furthermore argue that Pakistan has transformed from a peripheral security actor into a credible middle power. What do you think was the single biggest turning point for this, behind this transformation, basically?
Well, obviously the leadership matters, and I think the leadership of the Field Marshal Sid Hassan Munir, he was a single-handedly. I think the dominant factor which basically turned around things was his leadership, his personal aura, and the way he connected with American President Donald Trump. That was the most important thing. Remember, if you go back a few years back, Pakistan was not even having an access to White House. That's truth. So I think he moved it in a way that he managed to bring down all that arrogance which India had. He brought down all that arrogance, and he was the one who could pick up Pakistan from ashes, and it took him, he gave him the rise to the Pakistani status at the global stage. So I think his personal contacts, his position, he emerged as a soldier diplomat, he emerged as a statesman, and you might have heard that every day President Trump keeps on saying that, my favorite field marshal. I think that is the vision. And I think if you remember, when President Trump met him first time over the lunch, he made a point that they know Iran better than anyone else. So I think the single most factor is the leadership of Field Marshal Hassan Munir, and that's why we emerged as a middle power.
You just mentioned the US-Iran talks in Islamabad. What made Pakistan more acceptable to both sides as compared to the regional actors like Turkey or Oman?
Well, I think, as I mentioned earlier, we have a cooperation with the United States in fighting terrorism. We have been a non-NATO ally of the United States for more than 20 years. And the Americans and the rest of the Western world, they do appreciate Pakistan's position that we are the only country in this region and the worldwide which gave or sacrificed more than 90,000 people in this war against terrorism. And we are the biggest sufferer of that war. And I think the Americans do understand and appreciate that Pakistan is a country which helped not just the United States, but international community in eliminating transnational terrorist threats. And even if you remember, the first speech of the President Trump at the State of the Union was "Thank you, Pakistan." That one of the terrorists that was handed over to the CIA or to the American authorities. So I think Pakistan enjoys that trust, but somehow some of the political maneuverings in this country, we had problems with the US. But at the same time, with the Iranians, we don't have any competition with like other our brotherly Muslim countries. And that is because of the geographical proximity, and that is because of the interest Iran and other countries have in the Middle East. So we are not a competitor in the Middle East right now. As things have emerged, we are basically the security stabilizer in the Middle East. So I think we are the only country, I think, that among the Muslim world maybe, which castigated the American strikes on Iran as under international law, because Iran is a member of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Iran is a member of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and they had no right to attack Iran. So we stood with Iran as per international law, and I think the Americans have no issue in that, even they bombed them. We are with the United States because we have a track record of cooperation and working together against this militant organization. So I think that's why both countries, they do respect us, and we were honest broker. We have been honest broker, and we are honest. And the only purpose was to bring them on the table, bridge the gap, rebuild the trust, and so that to benefit not just the region, but obviously the international community. And you might have seen dozens of global leaders are calling the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the Deputy Prime Minister Ishaq Dar and saying thank you for helping us, and we appreciate and support all the efforts which Pakistan is doing. So I think that was basically the motivation, and that's basically why the United States and Iran support us in all these efforts. Yes.
In your point of view, how significant was Pakistan's military performance against India in Bunyan and Marsus for the international perceptions of balance of power in South Asia?
Well, I think Pakistan did restore deterrence, if you remember. I think the Indians believe that they keep on checking after 4 or 5 years that where are we now, and I think the world did see that if Pakistan's sovereignty was challenged. And Pakistan responded, India, as per the UN Charter, Article 51, we have a right to respond. And I think now the world understands that they don't have enough resources, but they have enough manpower, capable manpower, which can turn the table, and we did it. So this all happened because our Air Force was able enough, our Army, they had a good planning for that matter. And we gave a clear message to India that in no way Pakistan's territorial integrity, Pakistan's sovereignty, if it will be challenged, and there is no way we will not respond. And I think Pakistan made it very clear that we stand with the people of Kashmir, we stand with international law, and at the same time, I think a message has been given to the authorities in India and to the international community that war is not possible in South Asia under the nuclear overhang. And I think that message has been well received. But the problem in India is that they have linked their foreign policy and national security goals with their electoral gains. So they, for gaining electoral support from masses, they need to keep on, doing this jingoism and warmongering and all that. So I think, but we keep telling the world that this irresponsible behavior of India, it must not go unnoticed, because we did punish them for that kind of a behavior. So the world also need to look and pay attention to the long-standing or dispute between Pakistan and India, which is Kashmir. So until and unless that issue is not resolved, obviously there is a possibility of such kind of wars.
What role do you think that national unity played in this success?
I think one of the miscalculations which India had was that if we will attack Pakistan, Pakistan is politically polarized, economically destabilized. They are under the IMF program. They don't have sufficient funds. Their global outreach is limited. So I think that all proved wrong. And I think that was one of the reasons they thought that if this country, which is so much politically polarized, and if we attack them, there is a probability that the people will turn against the state. I think that was sheer nonsense on their part, and that they did realize that they had a wrong perception, that this country is united. And even you did see when how people, common civilians, they were shot bringing down drones, which was a loitering munition sent by the Indians. So I think a great unity, not just here, but the diaspora, the Pakistani diaspora, which is abroad. They did a great job in backing Pakistan, and it was not felt like who are we? We are Sindhis, Punjabis, Baloch, Kashmiri, Gilgit, and everyone. Nobody felt it. We are all Pakistanis, and I think that was the best display of unity, nationalism, and that how this country is united under one umbrella, and that umbrella is of Pakistan. And I think. What Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah said many decades ago, that no power can undo Pakistan. And I think every day Pakistanis prove that. And whenever there is a challenge in front of us, whenever we are challenged in fact as a state, the people of Pakistan do prove that.
The concept of a Muslim Quad and Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement is very ambitious. Do you realistically see these alliances becoming institutionalized in near future?
Well, obviously, with this agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia of this SMDA, Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement, I think other nations are also looking for such kind of an options. That Pakistan has a credible military deterrence. Pakistan, if we join hands with the Saudis, because for the protection of Saudi Arabia, we believe this is our duty, because we have to protect the Herman Sharifan. We have, this army is the one that basically only army in the world that has got the capability and intention and the will and feels it religious duty to protect the Herman Sharifan. So I think that was very important agreement which was done right after the India-Pakistan war, and I think that was because of the visionary leadership of the Saudi and Pakistani leadership. I think the other options are on the table, and the government will look at that, because Turkey, we have very close partnership. Turkey has a very strong army. We have a lot of cooperation, and this war against India, Turkey has supported us openly. And just yesterday, I think the Indian army officials who were doing a press conference, they named Turkey as a country which is supporting Pakistan. So I think Egypt is another country, an important player in the Middle East. And I think if such kind of things go, they are necessary to counter the growing Israeli influence, because they believe in expansionist thoughts. They have this idea of greater Israel. So I think to manage such kind of a threats, when we see the international law is in not at its place where it should be, the UN is not strong. I think the nation states need to do sufficient. They need to take sufficient measures, in fact, to deal with such kind of threats which are coming from an unruly leadership like Netanyahu.
Your paper repeatedly stresses that geopolitical success without economic stability is very fragile. What immediate economic reforms do you think Pakistan must prioritize to sustain the momentum?
Yes, since we need to have a consistent macroeconomic stability, that will definitely come with a strong, stable political system. And at the end of the day, we need to get rid of IMF for having reforms. Otherwise, we will be forced, not to do things which we don't want to do, frankly. And at the same time, I think this war in Middle East and the way this Strait of Hormuz was closed, we did realize that, yes, we have conventional military threats, but the other threat is a non-traditional security threat, which is our economic security, which is our societal security. And I think those challenges are intact. And if we don't take care of our economy, a war in Middle East can be, catastrophic for us. So long-term measures need to be taken in terms of, obviously, institutional reforms. The government is working on that. But at the same time, I think we must have an export-led economy. We must have an export-led growth. That is the only way we can have a strong and resilient economy. And now, I think the way Pakistan is getting closer with the United States, and they have proposed some investments in Balochistan. I think we have critical minerals. I think we can turn around things. All what we need is consistency. We need to end this red tapeism, and investment needs to come from other countries as well, other than from the West, to give more boost to our GDP and economy.
The paper also talks about Pakistan becoming a regional net security stabilizer. What practical responsibility or risk would come with such a role?
Well, I think we did check India's behavior, that they cannot be the bully. They cannot be the one who can dictate other nations what to do and what not to do. And we are keeping a check on them, by the way. We are basically, Indians were calling a bluff that they are a net security stabilizer in Indo-Pacific. And I think Pakistan has made it very clear that we are net security stabilizer in South Asia. And we are a net security stabilizer, not just in South Asia, in the Middle East as well. So obviously, for that matter, Pakistan believes that no nation should go for warmongering. No one should threat others. No one should undermine others. And for that matter, if we can manage things here, we can manage things in Middle East as well. I think, and if you look at the agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, that clearly says an attack on one is an attack on other. And I think in the recent war between where the Iranians were attacking the GCC nations, Pakistan made it clear to the Iranian brothers and sisters and the leadership there that we do consider, when you attack on Saudi Arabia, this is an attack on us. So let's see how Pakistan further take the steps for that. But so far, Pakistan has emerged as a security stabilizer in South Asia, and that Pakistan has called off basically the bluff that India is a net security provider in the Indo-Pacific. And I think that's one of the reasons the American relations with India are changing very fastly, and they're taking some time. The world is updating its impressions about Pakistan. India is facing a tough time because all these investments which were in India for the last 20 years, I think they have not worked for them. And I think particularly the American authorities and the other countries, they are thinking that they have invested at a wrong place and ally.
Lastly, do you believe Pakistan is actually truly entering a long-term strategic rise, or could this movement become another missed opportunity like previous phases we have seen in our
Yeah,
country?
we have to see that with the Pakistan-US relations, we had that security partnership. We couldn't transform that into the economic partnership when the Pakistan was cooperating with the United States in this war against terrorism or in Afghanistan. And we lost billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars because of that war. So we need to transform the relationship. Secondly, in this China-Pakistan economic corridor, the investment came, but again, we couldn't transform that. We couldn't have that much stable economic stability. We are still under the IMF. We still need to go for, we were having a borrowed growth, in fact. So again, I think this is an opportunity which I think we need to grasp. And I think the leadership is taking decisions, and they are very different. These decisions have not been taken. For example, the way we are marketing Balochistan in a different sense in terms of its mineral wealth, and the way Pakistani youth is poised, and they are, in a position to be the real asset for this country. I think we must not miss this opportunity. If we miss this opportunity, obviously, and looking at the size of the population which is increasing in this country, it will be difficult in coming days to manage this sample of population.
Let's hope for the best. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Thank you so much, guys.